Hi, my name is Louise Hogarth, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. And this is my editor, Corinne Medeiros. Hello. And for the past week, we've been working on a cut for Nosey. I worked with Samantha Khury, who's a very noted animal communicator. Samantha communicates telepathically with animals by looking at a photo. She did not meet Nosey in person. And Samantha did a reading for us of Nosey and her situation, which is truly desperate. And we've spent the last week, Corinne and myself, putting together a piece in the hope that we can try and help drive traffic to the petition for Nosey's Law.
This particular elephant, Nosey, is her soul, her spirit has been broken. There is an emptiness in her being, and that emptiness is what I wanted to see if we can eliminate it and bring some internal peace into her mind and her body. When I work with a being, I always say, what does it feel like to be you? And then I become that being. So I'll feel it in my body. And it's difficult because there are parts of her mind that she has literally blocked out. I started with giving her a visual of a mother elephant, and this is what comes from that. A lot of sadness, and I start to cry. And I have to ask my soul and her soul, what and how can I serve you in a way that will bring you internal peace? I know I'm really small, and there's a lot of loud sound, fast moving. The sensation I'm getting as if I'm being moved, as if they're trying to move us away from the elephants or away from my mother. And I feel I'm in shock. I can't remember anything, and it's like big bars. There's a big gap, but I can tell I'm in a state of shock and I'm in a state of grief. When you're in a state of grief, many times you're going through the motions, but you really don't record anything. There's a section that is not chronologically in order, not present. Big bars. So that tells me she's pretty small when the bars look huge. I can see 3 other elephants. They're all around the same size. The blows that I get are across the back on the right side by my head. These blows are pretty hard, and they're coming down. Now, the physical abuse is intense, but it has no comparison to the isolation. It's as if they need to break this being before she gets too big. When they isolate her, that's when the spirit gets totally broken. Being in her body, it's like she's on autopilot. She goes through the routine of what she needs to do, but there isn't much joy. There isn't a lot going on in her thought process. It's just plodding along without any kind of emotional joy that isn't in this being. She does perk up, though, if somebody brings her a carrot versus an apple. If I see wet cement and I am isolated in this wet cement, there is terror that comes up. I could feel it, and it was more than a blow. It's like being electrocuted, but you don't see where it's going to come from. You don't have any kind of knowing when it's going to happen. And that's old. That hasn't happened in a long time, but it's affected the organ system in her chest. Pardon me. When I work with an animal, I don't mind going in deep to rescue an animal, but I don't want to go in there and not have a change in the soul of the being. Now, as she gets older, other than seeing wet cement in isolation, there is no terror. Her mind is gone. It's just on autopilot of what to do, one foot in front of the other. That's about it. And I haven't worked with an animal where the internal soul has been so damaged in a long time. The only time she seems to get any kind of a sensation that perks her up is children, when they see her, they don't see the sadness. Adults seem to see the sadness. So the kids will send just this enthusiasm and this sheer joy and this energy to see her. And there's a little bit of this wave that goes into her being. Most of the time, people look at her and all they see is her trauma. And because they only see the emptiness and the sad, they feel sorry for her. And there's another big, huge wave of sadness being projected at her that maintains her trauma. If you have thousands of people doing this, all it does is it maintains this past that is being perpetuated. So whenever a little kid comes along, they seem to break this little tiny bit. There's just like handing this little elephant a flower. From a kid's point of view, it's not looking at the sadness, it's looking at this magnificent being and just marveling at her. And that's that little tiny thing that she gets. You know, kind of blew me away. There's just this little tiny glimpse, and it doesn't last. And so we must become like children in a way with our thoughts towards her in order to free her in her mind and give her some kind of peace that's different than what she's getting. I asked about this guy that owns her. He doesn't hurt her anymore, probably because he understands that if he does, you know, some big stuff's going to happen to him. He kind of treats her like a vehicle. It's part of his livelihood, but you'd think that after a long period of time that this guy would have a deep emotional connection, but he does not. So our responsibility is change our thinking. When you hold any person, any being, only in their misery, they can't pull themselves out. The biggest thing that I feel that I can assist her in is sending her visuals of not only what a great teacher that she's going to become and has been for many kids, but to consistently send her love and something, even if it's just holding the thought of a carrot for her, to help her shift the perspective, shift her past, shift that emptiness. There's no way that she can change that autopilot consciousness that's happened without the help of the human species to project thoughts of joy and the possibility that someday you'll be with other elephants. Nosey needs the help in order to forget about the past and move into the present. That was hard. I don't know anything about this particular elephant other than looking at these pictures. And I'm going to leave one of the pictures out and as a reminder in my meditation to tune in with her and just send her enormous amount of love and thoughts of someday you're going to be with other elephants. That's what I can give her.